I think I'm connected. I'm live. If it turns out that Facebook is doing its usual stuff, I'll try again when I get to the office. But I wanted to make sure that I talked a little bit about voting savvy today. During this month, October was our elections issue, and we're going to be going into elections very, very soon. So I wanted to make sure that we had this conversation. We're going to do parts 1 and 2. I don't want to make these too long, about voting savvy. Here at Lace on Race, we cannot tell you how to vote. I am not going to endorse one candidate over another. I am not going to endorse one proposition or initiative over the other. But I can tell you some things that will hopefully make you a more educated voter in terms of what to look for. You know, a lot of times people ask how I feel about certain things, and I tell them, well, and we're going to talk about this more. I tell them, well, for me, it's all about North Star values. Which proposition, which candidate is closer to North Star values, which enhance or complement are in alignment with those values, and which are not in alignment or sometimes in direct opposition to those values. There have been memes posted around Facebook all the time that talk about how can you love me when you vote for policies and people who want to see my demise. There's something to that. It is very difficult to say, I want the best for you, but I'm going to vote for policies that are anathema to you. We're going to talk about that more because right now I do want to talk about voting itself. Both in my office and at home, there are literally stacks of political advertisements. I'm afraid to go to my mailbox because there are still more. I think it's important to look at that and to talk about what you see when you see a political ad. The first thing we need to decide is who's running the ad, who's paying for it. And a lot of times, and this is where we're going to get to 3 terms, 2 of which you probably know, 1 that you probably don't know. The difference between grassroots, grass tops, and astroturf. I'm going to be writing a longer essay about this. I want to keep this short, but I just want to plant this bug in your ear. Grassroots is actually something that really does come from the people, or at least originates from citizenry. There is a problem that needs to be fixed. Either there's something that we want more of, or there's something that we want less of. And usually, and I've said this a lot, it is the grassroots workers, the grassroots initiative that really set the standard for innovation and for praxis. Very rarely are they going to get anything on a ballot. Usually what happens is that more mainstream outlets, such as the political parties or sometimes other organizations like the NAACP, Vote Blue, Move On, will take initiatives, sometimes water them down, because after all, you do need 50% plus 1, and then put them out in proposition form. That's true for conservative initiatives as well. But it's important to know who is paying for things. It's important to be able to decipher and look at the very, 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 very fine print that you often see when it comes to these things. And you can't necessarily count on what the committee is named. So if something is called, I'm sitting outside here, if something is called the Committee to Save the Trees, you have to make sure that it's actually somebody who wants to save trees. Then you can look at major funding, such as paid for by the National Forestry Council, which, by the way, the National Forestry Council is pro cutting down trees. They can name it anything they want, and a lot of times people will stop at the name. particularly when you're looking at print ads or these short form ads that are coming out now on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. Even in YouTube, I've seen them. So we need to be very, very careful. You need to follow the money. We're going to talk about that in another part of it, but let's look at the differences between grassroots, grass tops, and AstroTurf. Now, I want to make sure that everybody knows that I don't consider myself to be an influencer at all, but I do have a small platform, and there have been people here in San Diego who have wanted me to partner with them, and I have said I can't do that, not least because we're a 501c3, but also because even if I could, my words carry a lot of weight. And so it is a big deal when someone says, well, Joe Smith endorses Proposition 5. That raises more questions that need to be answered before you can make a cogent and informed decision. Is Joe Smith being compensated in kind? Are they putting a donation to their nonprofit or to their PAC? This is really important to know. Disclosures are there, and disclosures have gotten better over the last 20 years, but they're not where they need to be. We also need to look at, so when we're talking about grass tops, you're looking at people with name recognition, with a certain amount of credibility and legitimacy in the area that they're talking about. Whether or not that credibility is a temporary one or is a purchased one. AstroTurf is exactly what it sounds like. When you've got the National Oil Council looking like it's a grassroots corporation, looking like it's a grassroots organization, that's AstroTurf. So you've got three. You've got grassroots that spring up from the populace. You've got grass tops that use prominent people to make a proposition or a candidate seem more legitimate or more supported by people that have a certain amount of credibility than they actually are. And then you have AstroTurf. Crunchy, crunchy AstroTurf. It's up to you to know the difference. I'll be talking about it more in the essay. Look for it.